What is population control?
Well, population control, it kind of depends on who's speaking. If you're talking about a security agent, then population control would be, riot control or, the control of a population. But I think he's talking about, population as far as size goes. And so that was a big subject when I was a kid back in the 70s. The idea of the overpopulation of the planet, and so population control is something that we talked about all the time back then. China is in the act of controlling their population. For a couple of decades now, they've had rules on their books, laws that you could only have one child in China. And what they were trying to do is decrease the population. They have over 1 billion people in China, and they had families that were kind of old time, family types, 8 and 9 kids, that kind of thing. And obviously, their country couldn't sustain that kind of population, and so there was a one-child rule law. I believe it's still in effect, and that's been causing all kinds of problems because. What Chinese families would do is if they had a girl, then they would just take the little girl babies out and expose them, and they would just die, out in the fields and that kind of thing, or they'd put them into an orphanage. A lot of Chinese orphans are little girls, and then what happens is the little boys grow up and there are no women, and so then you have issues there. And so China's been having a real problem with that. In the United States, we've had a significant cultural kind of indoctrination as far as the size of families goes. And one of the things you need to realize about a population is that if a family only has 2 children, what they're doing is keeping the population at the same level. And so it's only after you have more than 2 children that you're increasing a population. And I think we're at a situation where it's like 1.8 children per family in the United States. And it's even worse than that in Europe. And so the population of Europe is decreasing. As far as the natural population, it's only increasing because of immigration. And so we're going to be having some of the same problems. So.
It's weird too how we were talking earlier about the whole abortion thing, how population control is linked to Planned Parenthood in the beginning of the people that thought that up, and I can't remember her name, but they use that as like, what's her name?
Sanger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they use that as like this philosophical, moral argument to help humankind by controlling population by killing babies.
Right.
It's kind of messed up.
Yeah, and
even races.
Right. Margaret Sanger was a radical racist, and specifically was targeting the black population when she was doing her writings and starting Planned Parenthood and stuff. And you have a situation where actually some of the stuff that she came up with has just devastated that segment of our population, and it's increasingly becoming more and more influential in the white population and the Hispanic population also. Hispanic is kind of trailing on that because they're more family oriented, but you have a situation where this stuff just goes on. And one of the wild things about the whole population control in the United States is we're having a problem with Social Security specifically because of that.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Social Security is based on the idea that the population that's living now is the working population that's living now is going to be taking care of the people who are retiring, and we don't have a replacement for the people who are retiring, and so we have a number of baby boomers as a large generation, and the generations that came after that are not going to be able to keep up with what's needed to fund Social Security. And so it's kind of wild because the Democrat Party brought up Social Security, and the Democrat Party is the one that's behind abortion. And now we've got a situation where it's like there's been it's about 50 million people who've been killed through abortion. And if
you're talking just in the United States,
just in the United States, And if that was part of our population right now, we wouldn't be having a problem with Social Security.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of the problems that we have in the United States are made up by politicians, and then they come back and run on the fixes to a problem that they literally made up themselves. And again, not good.
It helps too if we stop stealing from what we already have in the program too.
Yeah.
Writing
exactly.
an IOU or whatever.
Right.